Hello, my name's Veronica from Dorcas Design Sewing. I'd like to welcome you to our sewing tips. Today I'm going to show you how to sew a seam using a straight stitch. The machine I'm going to be using is a Janome 224A. You can use any machine, they basically work the same, very similar, but I suggest you check your manual on how you change the stitch and the length for your machine. I'm just going to quickly show you how to change the stitch on this machine. It has two dials, one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left has some letters, A, B, C, D and so on, and these letters correspond with the key down to the right. A is straight stitch, B also straight stitch but to the left side, and C is for a zigzag. And that's just the three we'll be talking about today. And this dial on the right is the stitch length. It has some numbers on it. So number 1 is the length of the stitch, which is 1 millimeter. Number 2 is 2 millimeter. 3 is 3 millimeters, and so forth. So I'm going to be showing you how to sew with a straight stitch. So I'm going to put my machine on straight stitch for now, which is the letter A. I'm going to turn the dial to the letter A. There you go. And I just want to suggest, as you're turning, that you ensure that your needle is up out of the feed dog, out of the way, so it doesn't get broken. And the length the length of the stitch is I'm going to turn it to 3 millimeters in length. I'm just going to turn the machine round now. Right, I'm going to switch my machine on. Oh, one moment. I'm just going to quickly show you. I have some previously cut cloth here, which I'm going to show you how to sew the seam. I'm going to be stitching a line from here, down here as my seam. I'll show you that in a moment. So what I'd like to do, first of all, is show you, if you could just throw the camera over here, is to line two pieces of fabric up together, or you may be making a garment, but whatever seam they tell you to do, you line the edges up so that they're flush, if the camera can see that there. Flush together, like that. And then you can use a tape measure. So a standard seam is 1.5 centimeters in width. So to get an accurate seam, because we don't just want to sew anywhere, I'm going to measure 1.5 centimeters. So I put my tape measure, if the camera can see there, right on the edge of my fabric, because I'm measuring 1.5 centimeters, right on the edge there. And I'm using a tailor's chalk, which is just a chalk, what we use for drawing onto fabric. It comes off afterwards, or washes off. So from the edge here, can you see that? Measuring from the edge here, and I'm going to measure from there 1.5 centimeters, and I'm going to do a little dash there. Little dash that helps to do it in white on dark fabric. And I move it along, and I'm measuring 1.5 centimeters from the edge. There we go, and do a little dash. And we do these little dashes all the way along. Just move up a little bit, 1.5 centimeters. Move up a bit more, 1.5 centimeters. Oops. Move up again. Ensuring that the edge of the tape measure is right on the edge, flush with the edge of the fabric. There, make a mark on the 1.5, and so on. 1.5 again, and I'll do one more. There, 1.5 centimeter. There. So as you can see here, we've got a series of dashes going along the top. That's going to be width of my seam. Okay, So now I've got 2 pieces of fabric that are the same, basically they're exactly the same size. So you could be making a skirt, you could be making a pair of trousers. You just line it up, the 2 pieces together. I'm gonna be using some pins now. So just you get pins with a little bauble on the end, so you can see them in the fabric. And I'm going to put a few pins in, not too many. So I've lined my fabric up, so it's all matching up nicely. And then I'm pinning it together. So I put a pin in there, right on where I've put the chalk mark. Can you see there, where I put the chalk mark? Put them in a minute, and I'm going to put them upside down. And there's a reason for that. I'll tell you that in a minute. And then I put another pin, saying somewhere towards a couple of inches away. I'll show it you 1 second. Again, in where the chalk is. There you go. And then I think I'll put maybe one more, because you don't need too many pins in there. And I'll show you that again. I'll show you that there. Can you see that? Not too many pins. I'll show you why I've got them in that way as well. The reason why I put that in is that there's a reason for that. So now I'm going to take it to the machine. And first of all, what you need to do is test your fabric. So I'm just going to test my fabric first, because if you start sewing and then it's not lined up properly, you're going to have issues. So I've got my testing fabric here. So I switch my machine on. And I've got my machine already threaded up on the straight stitch, and I'm going to pull my thread about 7 centimetres in length, put it in between the toe of the foot, pull them down there. You don't want it too short, or it could come out very easily. And I'm going to test my fabric first of all. So I'll just fold it in 2, because you've got to mimic exactly what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be stitching. So it's going to be sandwiching 2 pieces of fabric together. So I've done that here, fold it in 2, and I'm going to test my stitch. So I put it underneath and press. It's a straight stitch. That's it. And I finish with the foot up, with the foot down. Sorry, foot down. Lift it up, and then I take my needle out, and then that's lovely stitching. And scissors to trim. And like you can see, that's wonderful stitching, beautiful stitching. Beautiful stitching there. So if you don't test it, you had horrible stitching, you could damage your project, what you was working on. So it's always best to test it first. So now I'm going to do the real thing. So I've got my fabric here that I pinned earlier. Now, I pull my thread about 7 centimetres in length. I put it under the machine, and I'm going to place, and if you can see there, I put this in about 1/2 centimetre from the edge, that top bit, about 1/2 centimetre away from the needle, so it's not right on the edge, but 1/2 centimetre in, if you understand that. And I'm going to line it up, if you can see, line it up with the pins here. And I've basically got, I'll show you what I've got. I've basically got the needle sitting on top here, about there. I started in 1/2 centimetre from the edge, and the needle is sitting there, and it's going to stitch all the way down there. So I've put it in. I've took one pin out, because that's why I had them upside down, so I can take them out easily. So start in, put the foot down here, and I'm going to start sewing. So I sew a couple of stitches, 3 stitches, and then I've got a little reverse button here. Go back, and what that does, that seals off the stitch. You don't have to go too fast. As a beginner, you don't need to go too fast. Just follow the line. You don't need to be looking at the stitching. We can just follow the line. There you go. Yep. Following the line, taking out the pins as I go. We don't want to sew over the pins and break the needle. There we go. And right to the end. When you've got 1/2 centimetre from the end, press your back button and then lift it up again and then press it again to seal off the end. And I'll just quickly show you what it looks like. Oops. So that's your seam there. Can you see that there? Can you see that there? That's your seam, the width of your seam. The seam is a stitching from there to the edge. And I just want to do one more thing to show you. I'm going to show you another seam, another way of doing it. But this time, we're just going to pin it, and we're not going to do a chalk mark. I was showing you 2 different ways of doing it. So, I'm going to do it this side now. So I'm going to just put a few pins in. You can see. Yeah, I'll do it from here. So you can see. Put a few pins in here. Can you see that okay? And I'll show it in a minute. And about 3 pins. I'm not going to do too many on this one because it's not a very big piece of fabric. I'll lift it up and show you. So you see I've just pinned it down there. And what I've done, I'm not going to do a chalk mark this time. That's if you're a beginner, it's good to do with a chalk mark. But I'm just showing you different ways of doing it. So I'm going to put it straight on the machine. But first of all, I'm going to show you on the machine plate here, there's measurement markings. I don't know if you can see it. And that measures the width of the seam, width of the needle, how wide the seam is from the width of the needle. So if you've got a tape measure here, put it in the middle here. So see the line starts in the middle here. It's where the needle is. And it measures, so 1.5 on here's here. So you measure it from the middle of this foot here, the line here. Can you see that? So the middle is there, the foot there. So you start the measuring there with the tape measure, and it measures 1.5 is here. So here's my 1.5 here. I can see it here. So I've got an etching on there's an etching on my plate here, 1.5. That's where the edge of the material will line up, and that will also give you 1.5 centimetres. So there's different ways of doing it. It's what's easiest, best. There's no right or wrong. It's just what's best for you. So I'm going to line up the edge of my fabric now here with this line here. If you can see it, a line here. I'll use a pencil to show you. See, there's some etchings here. Look, so 1, 1.5, 2 on here. So this is 1.5 here. I'm going to line the edge of it up with it here, and that will also give you 1.5. And I'll start stitching and show you. So if I pull it out here. So I start in again, about 1/2 centimetre, lining this up with the 1.5 here, centimetre. Put my foot down. Just do a couple of stitches forward and a couple of stitches back to seal it off. And now what I'm doing is I'm lining up the fabric, I don't know if you can see that, lining it up with the edge of the 1.5 here. And I'm taking the pins out as I go. And just to mention as well, when you're sewing, I see some people having their fabric over here, but if you've got a skirt or something, you can't fit it all in there. It's got to be down this way. So you have all your fabric down to the left-hand side, and your seam is here, so you can see what you're doing. So I'm lining it up now, not going too fast. That's it. Lining the edge of my fabric up with this marking here. That also gives me 1.5. Set the pins out as I go, making sure they're both together. Yep. That's it. And as I get towards the end, about 1/2 centimetre towards the end, press the reverse button. That's it. And forward again, a couple of stitches. So you see, there are 2 ways of doing it, but they both look the same, don't they? That's without this chalk, and that's with the chalk. That's 2 ways of doing it. So thank you for joining us, and I'll be back with you with another sewing tip from Dorcas Designs. Thank you for watching.